Good evening, morning, afternoon. This is Harry from Hasbro TV, and here's a short video to review the Chelsea game because we actually managed to win that game, and to look towards the Sheffield United game. So yeah, well, we beat Chelsea for the first time at the new stadium. I thought the performance was really, really, really good actually. What really impressed me the most was probably, surprisingly actually to many people, was probably Richarlison. I think Richarlison's starting to grow as a player at Spurs, and I think the Chelsea game was showing that a lot. On the left, his work rate was insane. He had a couple, two free shots, yeah, something like that, two free shots. Unfortunately, they didn't hit the target. I felt like his link up with Harry Kane was absolutely brilliant in that game. Absolutely brilliant. It felt sort of like when Son and Kane started linking up. Actually, the irony was obviously Son was on the bench, but that was the first game I've really felt that Richarlison, as in, proper solidified his place in the side, and I was really, like I said, I was really, really impressed with him. Then we look at obviously Kulusevski. I thought not many people were going to talk about this, but I thought Kulusevski was brilliant against Chelsea, and obviously the main man at the moment, Emerson on the right, was brilliant too. It's almost like he's playing with a swag. It's like looking at a completely different player, and I think the fact of Emerson is that obviously Porro's come in, but obviously Emerson wants to stay at the club, right? And he knows if he's going to stay at the club, he's going to be better than Porro. And like I said, for me, he's been better. Obviously, Porro's only played a couple of games, but Emerson's been our best player since Porro's come in. Looking at the midfield, Skip past two games, even though I was kind of against him playing because I think Sars on paper has got more talent. I think Skip's been brilliant. He deserved his goal. Højbjerg, probably not talked about as much, but again, he was really good in midfield, and I think Højbjerg is probably one of the most significant players for us right now because of Bentike's injury. Obviously, the back three, Romero, it was almost like a throwback to the 90s with the way his tackles were going in against Chelsea. Absolutely brilliant. I felt he had a bit more controlled aggression, even though when I watch him, I do think he's very hyper aggressive. I thought against Chelsea he was more controlled. I saw him often coming across on the side to help Emerson out against Mudryk. Felix played as well on that side, and Sterling in the first half. Because even though I thought Emerson dealt really well against all three of those in the space of one game, I did think he did get some bit of help. If you see Richarlison's work rate when he went on the right, he also helped out Emerson. And Davies had an okay game down the left, nothing special. He's quite solid. Longley again, another half decent performance. I think one person who probably won't be talked about as much or hasn't been talked about as much. I don't know about by the time this comes out Monday morning. But Fraser Forster, I'm so much more confident in Forster than Lloris, I've got to say. And I think against Chelsea, he dealt with everything. The two saves he had to make, he did them. But just his all-round play, his calmness, I felt a lot more calm watching Forster in goal than Lloris the past, however, 20-something games of the season Lloris has played in goal instead. I think he's really taken his chance, Forster, since Lloris has got injured. And long may it continue, because if Hugo comes back, I don't know, I'd keep Forster on the side if Hugo came back from injury. I think Forster deserves to be in the team. Of course, now again, we're looking forward to Sheffield United, which I am probably going to do a watch along on Wednesday night because I think it's on the BBC. So yeah, that's probably going to happen. I'm 99% sure actually. I think he needs to just keep the same 11. We can't change it. I think Sheffield United are not the same level as Preston, so you can't really afford to rest players and see the likes of Son start in the middle, and then maybe a Danjuma and something like that, and maybe change the fullbacks. But I just don't think we should, because even though, like I said, I'm not a massive fan of Davies down the left wing, it's working. You can't change a winning side. And Kane, I think, will be very important for us again. I know he scored obviously today, but very important for us again against Sheffield United. I think we can't really afford to say put Son there or Richarlison there and then put Son on the left, because I think we need the team that keeps winning to keep playing the winning side. The next game after that is Wolves. So, like I said, in my opinion, just keep the same team. There's no point in changing it. Of course, the Chelsea we played today, or yesterday, whatever day you watch this, it wasn't the best Chelsea side. I think the fact they played a false nine and Havertz kind of played into our favour because I don't think Dyer had much to do in the middle, and he wasn't really that tested. And they seem to like play it around us a lot. They have a lot of creativity, Chelsea, but they just don't have the finishing touch. You saw Potter got desperate. He brought on Aubameyang and Mudryk, especially Aubameyang. Shows how desperate he was because he's definitely on his way out at Chelsea. Aubameyang, so he's not going to come back. But yeah, I mean, we could have ended Potter's job against them. It's very possible, but they'll probably carry on with him. And if he carries on like this, why should we complain? But as for Spurs, I do think top four was never off for me. We're always in it because if you look at Liverpool's performances, they drew at Palace, and then obviously Chelsea like this, they're not finishing in top four playing like this. Newcastle, they lost the final. Whether that will help them or hinder them is up for debate because are they in the FA Cup? I'm not sure, but they're not in Europe. So at most they have two competitions, probably one, and yeah, I mean, I think Newcastle's loss might either help them or hinder them in the sense that they might be demoralised, or it might just spur them on to finish in top four. Because, like I said, it kind of reminds of when Spurs lost the League Cup, the FA Cup semi-final. I said the FA Cup semi-final, to Portsmouth, I think it was, and then that week we went and beat Arsenal and Chelsea at home within the space of a week, and we finished the top four that year back in 2010. And for Newcastle, this is kind of a coming of age year for a lot of their players as well. And I think Nick Pope was a massive loss for them. But if I was to say, I think Newcastle and Tottenham in that fight for that last spot in fourth. Because I think United, the way they're playing this season, they're not dropping out of the top four. I think kind of solidify themselves in there now, especially with, like I said, other teams who would normally challenge them dropping off as well. So yeah, I think Spurs, Newcastle fight out for top four now. Arsenal, City will fight out for the league, and United are somewhere in the middle. But do we have the edge over Newcastle after that? We have the points. They have 2 games in hand. It kind of depends how they react to that loss in the final. And let's not forget, Newcastle, like us, Newcastle haven't won a trophy, I think, since 1969, which is actually even worse than us. But they have had Mike Cash as their owner. I mean, we've had Lee as our owner, so we've only won 1 trophy in 22 years, so it's not much different. But I think Spurs versus Newcastle is the fight for top 4, I think, now. And we do travel to them in April, I think the 22nd. I think 22nd of April we travel to Newcastle. And look at it now. I know that's in almost 2 months' time. Or, yeah, I think 2 months' time, slightly less. That game for me is probably going to be the biggest test. And if we're in it by then, and we go and get a result at St James's Park, I think top 4 will probably be ours. But, I mean, anything can happen. But keep the same side. Richarlison, like I said, for me was our best player. A lot of people disagree, but I really want to see more of him. And yeah, come on, you Spurs.